The amount of projects that the planning department actually is reviewing on a weekly basis and being submitted on a monthly basis is probably was an eye-opener for me that although we see the growth in Murfreesboro, the amount of projects that are actually being presented for future projects was an eye-opener. I didn't realize it was that many.
Welcome to Insider. This is the official podcast for the City of Murfreesboro. I'm Mike Browning. Our topic, city planning and new additions to the city landscape, including a new airport and a new fire station. Our guest is Greg McKnight. He's the Interim Director of Planning, who is overseeing planning and development for our city. Greg, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for having me.
First, you grew up in Murfreesboro, so you're a native, and you attended UT Martin for college. What were you doing before you were hired for the city of Murfreesboro?
Yeah, prior to being hired as a the director of project development, I actually worked for Pinnacle Construction Partners, a general contractor out of Nashville. I was the president and CEO of that company. And from there, actually, I was the owner's rep for the city of Murfreesboro 6 months prior to actually being hired on full time.
So what did you do for Pinnacle that the city felt like, we need this guy at the city to help us out here?
Yeah, absolutely. We were brought on along with another company, CBR Harry, to be the owner's rep, to be able to take a look at the police headquarters here in Murfreesboro. As the owner's rep for the city of Murfreesboro, we did some financial auditing, construction, contract auditing for them. And then from there, the city asked if we would move on to Fire Station 4 on Medical Center. To be the owner's rep to finish that project and also do some programming for Fire Station 11 on Fortress and Blaze.
Well, since you brought up the police station, I would be remiss to our audience if I didn't bring up the fact that there was some reporting that was done on that seemed to talk a lot about cost overruns, and it was erroneous reporting. Explain to us, how the process went in terms of the cost, and then an audit was conducted to confirm that.
Absolutely. Initially, when we were contracted for that particular project, there, it was said to be that the building was only going to cost $26 million, and it ended up costing over $50 million. But the initial audit really showed that the city of Murfreesboro received the building at the cost that building should have cost at over $50 million. The initial ask of the city council was probably more for the construction of the building, not including all of the the furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So the total cost of that building probably wasn't shared initially. So,
and when you talk about initially, sometimes it's 5 years, 6 years before or more before the building actually is open. There's a ribbon cutting, and what they project something to cost 5 or 6 years before that is a little different than what the ultimate cost is.
Yeah, and I think that's and I don't think one of the reasons that the director of project development position came into fruition was because of those opportunities, just to be able to have more direct management and programming of the future of vertical construction in the city of Murfreesboro. So to be able to do exactly what you're saying, to plan 5 years out, but also make sure that the funding and the budgeting matches the year that we projected it might be built.
So that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about, is that, before being appointed to the interim planning director, you were a project director or project development director, and then it dovetails into what you'd already done in the past.
That's correct.
What are some of the specifics, like if you're looking at a project, whether it be, the airport terminal or the fire station that you're looking at, where you can save dollars for the city?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is being able to put together a conceptual drawing after programming with the department head, and being able to make sure that, one, it's programmed correctly, and then taking the conceptual drawing and then doing an estimate along with making sure that we estimate and get a cost on the furniture and the finishes for that particular for that particular project, and then do a complete project budget. And if we're out far enough in front of the project, we have a whole lot more time to make sure there aren't any gaps. And usually the gaps in a construction project is usually what ends up having cost overruns, or there'll be a scope creep, which means that there's things added to the construction project as you go along. So planning out front allows you all of that to occur first before anything is actually bid, and to know what that cost is going to be. So that has helped us, and our goal is to keep everything on schedule, on budget, and on scope, and we've been able to do that.
And you mentioned like cost overruns or things that are added during a project. I mean, anyone who's built a home knows that those kind of things occur because there's a lot of unforeseens.
Yeah, unforeseen in the sense that we normally most often can't actually visually see what that building's going to look like. But when the walls start going up, we think of things we would like to have put in it. And that's by bringing the construction team together earlier on with everybody asking the questions as it relates to the drawing and the conceptual drawings. We've been pretty successful with Fire Station 4, now Fire Station 11, and now the airport terminal, to be able to get in front of those opportunities, to get a plan, a set of plans, and stick to those plans.
Let's talk about the airport terminal. I assume that's probably a little bit of a different project than you've done before, because it has certain things to it, but then some things are the same because it is just a building.
Yeah.
What are the things that you, in terms of your goals or your mission going into it, that you're trying to achieve when you do a project like that?
Yeah, we that particular building is one of the first design builds that we've done for the city of Murfreesboro, which allows us to be able to maximize the budget and make sure that we maximize the opportunity for the amount of money that we've budgeted. So the design build allowed us to go out to 6 or 7, maybe 10 different firms actually put in to actually be the design build firm for that project, and then to set a budget at $5.1 million, including furnishings, to be able to bring back a project design, a unique project design for that particular airport. So what we have done on that one probably is going to be the role that we do, the design build format we use moving forward.
What's maybe one thing or a couple of things that you're most excited about the building itself?
Probably just the uniqueness of the building. It actually, if you're driving up Airport Road, it actually looks like an airplane wing. So it's a really, really unique building that's going to offer a lot of different offerings to the city of Murfreesboro.
And it will have a community area or facility, like a room or a catering area?
Yeah, it'll have a conference area that's will hold 150 people. The idea is to be able to host council meetings there as well. It'll be set up for city TV to be able to do audio, video there. It also hosts another large area classroom for MTSU to be able to host their classes there, about 70 children, 70 students for MTSU. It'll have a catering kitchen and a large area with about 25-foot ceilings as you walk into the airport terminal. That would be great for business after hours or hosting different other types of city events.
This has been discussed or brought up before, but why is it so important that a city have a good-looking, well-designed terminal?
Yeah, I think the opportunity with this terminal, Mike, is going to be just the impact that it would have on the economic development opportunities. If we're recruiting new businesses to come to the city of Murfreesboro, now we have a nice facility, meeting spaces for them to be able to host meetings there at the airport, to bring in their corporate team in, to be able to visit Murfreesboro, to look at different sites. But we also have the amenities there that they would be able to host a very nice and conference call, host any meetings they would like to have. So I think it gives flexibility, not only for economic development, but it gives a lot of flexibility for the citizens of Murfreesboro as well.
In many ways, I would think that this is somewhat reflective of the changes in Murfreesboro, because if you look at the old terminal that's now down, it's no longer there, but we have pictures of it. I mean, it did not comport with the city that we have now of 150,000 people. If you look at most cities of 150,000, they don't have a terminal that looks like what almost looked like a home.
That's right. That's right.
You know, as their airport terminal. So we really needed to get into the times that we're in now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The old terminal that we demolished was built in 1952. Was a very small building, wood frame building that didn't represent the city of Murfreesboro and where we are and the growth that we're having right now. So it was definitely time for that to happen. The partnership with MTSU and their aerospace department, the growth of it, the terminal and the growth of Murfreesboro, it's going to be a great fit for both of those opportunities.
Is it on schedule? Will it open later this year?
Yeah, we ran in earlier on because of the time of year. We started with the ground being wet, the coldness. The site work was running about a month behind, and we're still creeping it up on that time frame. We started probably in 2 weeks. We'll have it dried in. The windows and the doors and everything will be in, and we'll start making that time back up. So I think we're going to end up being prepared for that August start date.
You have also been overseeing the new Fire Station 11, which I think I understand correctly that it's almost like a duplicate of another fire station, so you don't have to do a whole lot of changes. Would that be the one on veterans, or how did you do that?
Yeah, we actually we did the Fire Station 4 on Medical Center on Medical Center was the first fire station that we kind of started with, and then it's a two-story fire station. The fire station on Blaze and Fortress is a single-level fire station, but has the same exact floor plan that Fire Station 4 has on Medical.
Oh, so it's more like Fire Station 4, even though that one is for larger ladders.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
and so the plan is to continue to duplicate those types of floor plans as we continue to build fire stations. It allows us to manage design cost as we move forward, because we have the same floor plan, pretty much the same design. We're able to cut into the design cost as we move to the next station. It also allows us to standardize mechanical systems within this fire station, our fire protection, those types of things would be standardized so that the facilities management team would be able to just work on each station and know what those systems work like, instead of having different types of systems throughout every station.
Anything you can share with us in terms of what it has that we need to understand?
Yeah, I think it's some pretty, Chief Folks has done an awesome job. He and Deputy Toombs have done an awesome job outfitting the stations with very practical and functional items that the fire station needs. It's put together very well. It has a primal vent system in it. Basically, it hooks to the exhaust system of the fire trucks. And it has a trolley system, for lack of a better word. As a fire truck moves out, it'll disconnect from the exhaust system as they move out. It also will have an alerting system that will currently, it will allow, when the alarm goes off and the call goes out, if the rescue team is the only unit that needs to go, that door is the only door we'll raise as those guys are leaving for them. It'll be the only lights that come on in the sleeping area for just that team. It cuts off the gas range. It cuts off the gas grill if it were to be on, to be able to allow those guys to increase their response time.
People don't think about that.
Oh, yeah, every second counts, and those guys have put those things in place to be able to help the response time.
Well, the last thing you'd want to do is leave a stove on and leave and start a fire in your own firehouse.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm sure it's happened, but yeah, that's definitely right. It cuts the gas completely off, so that if they were to forget, it would help those things.
And the main goal of this fire station is to improve response times in the western part of the city.
Yeah, absolutely. And those guys have done a great job. The leadership at the fire station, fire team has done a great job with putting those stations strategically to help response time. And that's been pretty neat to actually sit down as we develop and program fire stations, the methodology in which they're doing that.
So as a project manager, when you have a project like that going up and now it's pretty much finished in terms of the exterior, give me an example of a case where the contractor calls and says, we got an issue here, and you have to decide either to change the materials or to do something to comport with what they need to do, or to save
Yeah, I think a great example would be on our site work. There's a lot of rock in Rutherford County, if anybody didn't know. But it's site work. If we have to undercut a site to make sure that we have a good surface to put a foundation in, oftentimes it may be a request to undercut 5 or 6 feet. But then is when I would sit down with the testing company, the general contractor, the excavating company. If we can bridge the soil with shot rock or surge stone to be able to prevent us from having to cut so deep into a site, which is saving money by not having to pay for the excavating costs.
Let's turn to your new role now. So just in the past couple of months, you've been appointed as an interim director of planning, which is a broad area in a growing city. So I don't expect you to know everything about it yet.
Absolutely.
Because you're just getting your feet wet.
Absolutely. Thank
But
you.
you've been able to observe and see some things going on. What can you share with us about what you've kind of observed?
Yeah, I think probably the first thing, Mike, is going to be just the amount of projects that the planning department actually is reviewing on a weekly basis and being submitted on a monthly basis. This probably was an eye-opener for me that although we see the growth in Murfreesboro, the amount of projects that are actually being presented for future projects was an eye-opener. I didn't realize it was that many. Knew it was a lot, but didn't realize how many it was. The other eye-opener was the attention to detail that the planning department puts in on every single project to make sure that, one, it's meeting the design guidelines, that it's meeting the ordinances.
What is the expectation on the part of a developer or a builder when they submit a plan for it to progress in a timely fashion?
Yeah, I think I've been in construction and it's yesterday. You want everything that you submit to happen, the next day. So but the other eye-opener was just the relationship that the development community and the planning department have a great working relationship. Of course, the developer on one project may believe that the planning doesn't want him to do it, but all in all, there's a great working relationship between the planning department and development community, and they work together well. To try to make sure that we're doing what is right by law and the guidelines that we have set. So,
having been there a couple of months or however long it's been, maybe a month and a half, have you observed something that you want to try to implement or see changed?
Yeah, we're currently working on. We have a 60-day line of sight is what I have planned right now for the planning department, and that consists of getting City Works, which is a management tool for our work process, to be able to know where the paperwork is in process via the computer system and software. So that's one of the things. The other thing is communication. Communication from councils, ask back to the planning department. One example would be one council member would like to have an aerial view of a site so that they can make better decisions on the streets and how much traffic is going and where is the traffic going and which direction. So making sure those things are getting back to the planning team.
Would that involve drones or some other airplane that does that kind of
Google,
work?
we use Google Earth. We just normally would not print that type of information out and present it to council.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at those opportunities, trying to make sure that we're providing council with what they need.
One of the projects, of course, has gained a lot of attention in Murfreesboro is the Hidden River Estates project that went on for about a good year, I think, in going through the process, both in the Planning Commission and the City Council. I think there were at least a couple of hearings before the council. That was a case in which, the citizens pushed back because of growth, congestion in that area over on Cason Lane. There were major concerns about that and the landscape and the natural open space. We've heard it, and most people who are listening to this are probably are very familiar with that. The development will go up near a greenway, which is a whole nother issue because it was so close to an open space part of the park system. Help us understand the competing interests that go into something like that, where you have a developer who has property rights and then citizens who want to voice their concerns and some rightful concerns.
Right. Yeah. Born and raised in Milton, Tennessee, Mike, and have been able to watch Murfreesboro just blossom into the city that it is now. So I have been a part of those competing interests. Oakland High School, there was two high schools, Oakland and Riverdale, and now you have 7 or 8 high schools here. So I think the one thing that I would definitely continue to reiterate to the citizens is the amount of detail, the amount of attention that the council, city manager, assistant city manager, and the planning department puts into making sure that everything is looked at. Traffic, the loss of green space, how it impedes onto the greenway. All of those opportunities are looked at. So, although they're competing interests, Murfreesboro is going to continue to grow. 10th fastest growing city in the nation, I guess, at this point, and so it's going to continue to happen. But it's not being done without proper planning and as much planning as possible. I watched the public hearings. I was here for the public hearings when that project was going through the planning stages and listened to the citizens. But I do feel like that some of those things that got changed in that project, that was because the citizen says, hey, take a look at this and take a look at that, and to the best of the ability of the developer and everyone. I think that we were able to do the best job we could with that project.
One of the changes that seemed like it was very important, and it's going to be a restriction on the developer, is that he won't be able to, and correct me if I'm wrong about this, but they won't be able to go vertical until some of those roadways are created for better access.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's one of the items that came out of the public hearing. That where's the construction traffic going to go? So in the actual contract, he stated he would not do anything vertical until he built the construction entrance to that development. So I think that's huge. That now he was able to build in a way of not impacting the residents as much as possible during construction.
And then with Highway 99, it's under construction now, and then there are plans for a bridge over I-24. I mean, it will take some time,
right? And
the public's going to have to be patient, but there are plans in place to try to improve this congestion issue.
Yeah, that's what's really awesome about it is that there are things in place right now that will help it in time to help the city of Murfreesboro. The traffic studies and those things that the city's constantly looking at, how to get the traffic, alleviate traffic, which no city will be able to do that, but it's always being looked at. And being in the planning department now, I'm able to see those things, the plans, the 2040 thoroughfare transportation plan, those types of things. It's always being planned on how we can better serve the citizens of Murfreesboro.
Do you find in your experience that sometimes it's hard to communicate or give the public a vision of what something being constructed will look like down the road, because right now it's only in the planning stage, and then a lot of times once it's up and the traffic is improved, then people are like, okay, I was against this, but now this is good. I like what we did here.
Yeah, I think that's the way it's probably going to always happen, is just the emotion and stress of it being impacting where I am right now. It's kind of hard to digest what it would look like 5 or 6 or 10 years from now. But you're exactly right. When it is built and you're driving over Bridgie McBridge, you say, yeah, this did help Memorial, this did help Broad Street, this did help, and I get it now. So you're exactly right.
And there were substantial complaints on the part of the public during that construction phase when TDOT was building that.
Yeah, and it's just change. It's change, and we do during construction. You do impact individuals until it's actually finished. But at the end of the day, that it does help and try to help where we are and move around the city.
So much is going to be happening over the next 5 years, including the development at the old United Methodist Church. And we just saw this week before the Planning Commission, artistic renditions of what that's going to look like. What should we expect downtown now going forward with that project? We
believe it's really going to help the businesses downtown to have a whole lot more foot traffic throughout the week and the weekends as well. So we believe it's going to have a financial impact, on economic impact on the downtown area, as well as the offerings for the citizens.
Would you say with a new hotel downtown and all the housing, there will be I think, condominiums and residential housing, that it's really going to be a game changer for downtown?
I think it's going to be a game changer and will lend itself to other businesses and other opportunities to build our downtown area up, and provides, some opportunities like in Chattanooga. I think it's going to be that type of game changer that we'll start headed in that same type of direction.
I've had a chance to glance at the artistic renditions, and one of the things that's really fascinating is the building that looks like a building. It looks like a residential building, but it's really a parking garage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is really, really needed. The parking garage, the residential is going to wrap the parking garage, so it's not going to be seen other than one area, which is going to be a really, really neat building to not have exposed cars and those types of things, but be able to provide extra parking for the downtown area as well. It's going to be a great opportunity.
And then there's the plans show for a residential walkway in between some of the buildings.
Yep, residential walkway in between the buildings, green space in between the buildings, the ability to sit out at in between the buildings and in a parks-like setting. All of those offerings are going to be there as well. So it's not only going to provide walkability opportunities for those residents, but it's going to provide the ability for the downtown area to also have extended parking, which we all know we need. So.
Do you anticipate any opposition to the
Yeah, I would think
project?
so. I would think, there's always going to be opposition to change and growth. I think once it's shared what the opportunity is and what the project is really going to look like, the initial shock of a structure that large being downtown, I think the residents will eventually be okay with what's going to be provided. More retail space, it's going to probably have a police presence in one area of it to give the downtown area more police presence since the police department moved out on Highland. All of those things have been thought about in this project.
And demolition should start sometime this year. Do you know approximately when?
Yeah, be afraid to say. We just see what the public hearing says, but we do know in the Planning Commission that the owner's rep for that project did say as soon as they get the green light, they're ready to start this year.
And it's One College LLC, the developers that are working on this project. So this is not necessarily the development part of it. It's not a city project, but we've overseen it. We sold the land for the project, and we wanted it to look a certain way. That's why they kept
Yes.
the church building.
Yeah, and so we've had a part in what that does look like, and absolutely the church, the church that is still there will be renovated, but that was a deal breaker. They had to maintain that church structure, maintain the look, and then incorporate it into the actual project.
Which is another factor in what people think about Murfreesboro. A lot of people want to maintain the charm that we have. That it has that small town feel, even though it's not a small town anymore, and that's kind of part of preserving that history.
Yeah, and it was intentional. It wasn't just by happenstance that happened. It was intentional that we want to make sure that we're doing everything and all the growth to make sure that Murfreesboro keeps its character. So even as we're updating the future land use map in the planning department, it's all about future growth, but making sure we maintain the character of Murfreesboro.
Before we wrap it up, Greg, I want to give you an opportunity. Is there some other project or something you're working on that you're excited about that you think the public should know about? That you want to share?
Probably just the thing, Mike, is just letting the public know that the planning department, we're always looking to make sure that we're planning for the future, but also keeping in mind all the other opportunities that come along with growth.
Okay, Greg, thanks a lot for joining us and sharing all this exciting time here in our city.
All right, thank you, Mike.
You bet. We've been speaking with Interim Director of City Planning, Greg McKnight. For more information on the City of Murfreesboro, visit murfreesborotn.gov. You've been listening to Insider, the official podcast for the City of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Until next time, I'm Mike Browning. Thanks for joining us.